Hello everyone, T-Man978. Welcome to my chill review of the studio series, The Transformers, the movie, Constructicons / Devastator. I've already did all of these individual. I did the transformations in both directions and their individual reviews. These two are together because they are sold together. And right now it's just going to be like a little brief recap of these. I think the figure I like the most or have the least amount of issues with as an individual robot is probably Mixmaster. Second would probably be Scavenger. And then long haul, I just like him. Hook. These two, ugh. I like him, and Bone Crusher is probably last. I don't like the proportions on these, especially Bone Crusher. The arms look like it just looks like a core class blown up. It has a lot more going on than the core class, but yeah. This guy, he's good, but I don't like his little short forearms and those long toes. Bone Crusher, if I have any problem with him, it's the fact that he has those arms on a ball joint. Like he's a commander class and he still has ball jointed elbows. And just the hollowness in a lot of these. And all of them have great limitations. Just for the sake of doing it, I feel like. Trying to not give one of the figures a one-up on the other. No, give us as much articulation as you possibly can. What I mostly mean is none of them have a waist rotation. Actually, this one, ironically, with him being the one I like the least, he does technically have a waist swivel and an ab crunch, but because of the way this connects, it takes all of that away. And they intentionally designed it in such a way, because if you could detach this right here, you could have access to that ab rotation. Ab crunch and waist rotation, because you could fold this down just to get it out the way. But they intentionally put a pin there so it can be greatly more difficult to actually get access to that stuff. And Prime versus Primes, and I didn't even ask him offline or off his video how he did it, but he had this separate and he was doing that articulation. I, for the life of me, don't know how he did that. I will have to look maybe he took that pin out. But yeah, Scrapper. Once I seen the upgrade kit for this guy, I realized he has very long thighs and short shins. It's like they consider this part to be his knee, but the knee bends down there. If it bent above this, it would make more sense. But yeah, and I just did this video, so it should be fresh on your brain. This one is the most filled in, but I don't like the way the elbow looks when you do that. But he is definitely the most filled in and most complete robot, I feel like. All of the rest of them have some type of ugly hollowness, but he really doesn't. But overall, they are good enough to not be terrible. They didn't go above and beyond. They're just freaking basic, something you can combine together. I like the basic transformations, but I feel like with the transformation being so basic, they could have put engineering elsewhere to make them better than they are, but they didn't. Now, I did a comparison with all of these up against their Combiner War selves, so please refer to my individual videos. I don't want to bog this down anymore with that. Here's everybody again with some other Studio Series leaders. Vehicle mode recap. They're all nice. I like the way that sounds when you roll on my surface right here. Most of them have pinned wheels. Actually, all of them that have wheels they're all pinned. So that's great. But they all look decent for the most part. Their functionality varies. Like long haul has something to actually haul, which is cool. I like that the combiner components do function in some type of way. It doesn't become a base or anything. It's just this or Devastator. And this, you can kind of make it function, but not really. I think this has a lot of function with being able to rotate, lift up, and extend, and the hook actually moves. So they went all out for a hook. One annoying thing about him, the way the gun connects to him, it constantly falls off. The sucky thing is they don't have any wheels, like at all. But you do get all of this functionality with him. They can't where he can't rotate anymore. You do have this exposed piece right there, which does suck. This guy is just this thing. No wheels again. It's just a block with a shovel on it. But they're all decent. And they help us get to what we need to get to. I did comparisons with their vehicle modes and their individual videos. Please check those out. Thank you. Alright, let's start combining this guy in what I believe the state I left him in. But it's not supposed to be like this for Mixmaster. We're supposed to actually bring this and rotate that out. But what I'm going to do now is we can take this piece right here and slide it into that groove and bring this over top of that. Scrapper. We can move this back to get it detached from this mostly. Open that up. And now we can slide this over right here. Into place. There we go. And then go ahead and close that on top of it. And now we can bring this back together, so that'll be locked. And now he has, when I get things bent right, he has legs up the top. I don't believe I did this, but we can take this piece right here and we can bring that down, and these basically overlap each other like that. We can take the left arm, the left forearm, and slot this with these hollow spaces right there. Slot this 5mm peg into the forearm. Yay. And we can take this and slide it over this right here. Ah, shit. Bring that down. So you know what? I'm gonna take that off, put that on last. I knocked out several connection pieces. Alright, and right here, there's a peg on Longhaul's arm that goes into the tread right there. Let's attempt to do that a little bit better with this guy. Same deal. We need to bring that in and bring this flap down like that. You can take the right arm, import that 5mm peg into here, which is easier said than done, but there we are. I got it. And now I am going to grab only this and slide that down, or at least attempt. And I unpegged everything all over again. But there's that peg that goes into the tread again on this side though. It only loosely holds that in place. And we can go ahead and wrap this back around long haul, lift it up back up, and shove the pegs into the grooves back there, and peg these into place, and peg this into place to make that secure. But now, finally, we have Devastator. The ankle joint on Scrapper is way more tight than it is on Mixmaster. Mixmaster moves a lot more freely. But here he is, finally. I say finally, but it didn't take that long in the grand scheme of things. But he looks really nice. Some people have issues with how this isn't centered, but like in person and messing with it, you wouldn't care. Now, this is accurate to the original toy, the way this sits. I mentioned this, I believe, in the Commander class video. And the Combiner Wars is pretty much the same. And even on the cartoon, there were several episodes where this was low and you saw his back right here. Now, what's not accurate is this stuff hanging off behind his butt. But yeah. I wonder if they're going to make, well, I know they're making upgrade kits. I personally like when these treads are part of Devastator's arms, and they can all move as one unit instead of his arms moving like this. But we've seen him spin around. Let's get into this articulation. I showed it a little bit in the Commander class video. But the head swivels. If you want to cheat, you can make him look up like that. And from certain angles, it still looks normal. The arms swivel, go out that much. You get swivel right here. The elbow bends that much on this side. Wrist rotates. Fingers open all as one unit that's still curved. You still have access to the outward motion on that joint and inward motion. This one moves. Goes out to the side that much. Let's move this. But yeah, it is way looser than this guy, as you can see. We can bend that much. He can rotate. And we still have access to inward, not outward. Hand, same thing. Waist rotation, bumps there. The leg goes back all the way, but it bumps, of course. You come forward that much. Goes out to the side that much. Thigh rotation. Knee bends that much. You have ankle pivot. A lot of ankle pivot over there. And you get ankle pivot with this out the way. A lot of ankle pivot over there. Now let's get, well, he can hold the gun, but he holds the gun really loose. And I mentioned in this video, the scavenger video, when you bend the elbow, this opens every time for me on my copy. Well, let's try this end before I lie. Yeah, it can hold it, but it's not all that tight. Other things you can do, and probably why this is green, I questioned that. You can put this in Mixmaster's grill. On a cartoon, he had a little tiny toe, so you could do that. Basic as hell. We can just put Bone Crusher's gun right there. Same deal with Scavenger, just to put it somewhere. Hook's gun, you can still port that onto the side of his crane arm. And Scrapper and who else? Mixmaster. You can just port the guns into the back right there. Well, I'm going to show some comparisons and then get into some unofficial stuff I already touched on, but I'm going to retouch on now that I'm officially in his video. There is G1 Devastator, Combiner Wars Devastator. Ugh. I'm using wide angle lens, I figure why I killed myself. But lighter green, a little bit riggedy and whatnot. Not saying this thing is holding together all that well. Depending on how you squeeze, you're going to be popping things apart, which is kind of frustrating a little bit. But several videos on that if you want to hear my thoughts on that, which are kind of outdated. I was very much excited when I got this thing because I was excited to have a Devastator. Opinions have changed. Like, this is, like I've been saying, Transformers Authentics if they made a Devastator. What I have of Superion, he is slightly taller, as you can see. This is what people wanted anyway. Several Optimuses and a Megatron. Frenzy, Rumble, and Spike. Ultra Magnus. Ratchet. Magic Square Optimus. All the Dinobots, and this is highly accurate. They were really large compared to him. I was gonna murder myself trying to get this balance, but yeah, here he is with sludge over his head. No, I couldn't do it. But as you can see here, it has less than 90-degree forward motion on the elbows. But if you get a little bit tricky, you can get it to bend more than 90 depending on your pose. So that is cool. And I like that I can actually get him standing in anything. So that is awesome. But here is the things that you can do if you want to get unofficial. If you detach this, you can rock the foot forward a bit. So that's cool. And even rock it backward. Stability. Let's see. Yeah, I am still able to get him with the ankle rocked forward, standing up. Good. I have the hands or arms on Scrapper transformed the proper way. I don't like that. I like that shut. I like this reverse like that. Why they want you to have it the other way, I don't know. The hands are hidden now, and we don't have waffly detail out there. So there's that. You can get some backward motion on this as well, but not so much forward, because if you detach this, That's not stable at all. So Mix Master is the leg you want to use for that type of thing. And then if you get this going up, we can separate his upper body like I was showing before. Let's see if I can get this detached. I might do it off camera. Let's see. No, I was able to do it. If you disconnect this, push this down, and then just reconnect it with the front part and not lock this into place, we can get some slight ab crunch going. But the more weight this thing has on it, I'm seeing, by having every single figure, yeah, the ab crunch is not supporting. So it would have been nice if they put ratchets in there, but the way they designed it, they didn't want it to have ab crunch. Depending on the picture you want, you can still use it, as you can see. And lift his face up so he can still look forward. Wait, let me stand him up. Yeah, here we are with that, for whatever that's worth. And as I was showing, you can detach all this and lift it up. But yeah, this thing is decent. I don't feel like it comes together as solidly, even in the official transformation. It doesn't come together as solidly as Superion and Minosaur. The articulation might be a little bit better than those, because the arms have more range because of the sideways and inward motion. But it is cool to have a new Devastator that's more in scale with the other combiners. I'm assuming they're gonna have some type of different release that has like weapons you can put in there. And to let you see this, you can take the Legacy Blitzwing hand and put that in there if you want. And as far as this arm, I was able to get this arm connected to the Legacy Blitzwing gun thing, but you lose range dramatically. That's as far up as I can bend it. But I didn't think about this motion right here. So you can do the fake out thing that I was doing there earlier. If you want to get real weird, you can connect that. So now he has a long hand on top of there. These arms don't connect to Scavenger so much because of that little weird thing, that flap that went on the crotch. Well, you can kind of see it right there. That gets in the way. And if you have some type of accessories, you do still have access to this peg right here. So there are certain things you could probably port onto his fist. And you know what? This is 5mm peg. Let's see. Yeah, he can hold his own crane arm. If you want to bludgeon people to death, you can pull that out to help Decepticons that fell into the lake. One thing I noticed is this purple is very, very close. But we can do weird stuff like this. Port this into the hand. I just ported this directly onto that hand if you want. So you can have like hand cannons. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with this thing. With the crane arm missing, you can port guns and stuff inside of that 5mm peg. Alright, end of this video. I like it. I'm on a adult play date. But yeah, I like them, except the things that I said I didn't like. Thank you for watching. Until next time, T-Man978 out of here. Click the videos. Click the fucking videos, baby. Click the videos. You should really click these videos. Click the videos. Click those fucking videos, baby. Click the videos. You really should click those videos. Click the chick.